In the last video, I touched on the less dominant person being like a blank canvas that can be projected onto by the more dominant party. Now I'd like to speak a bit more about the more withdrawn or less dominant person. Something that can happen in the world of psychology is called transference. This is where I transfer feelings from one person or thing onto another person or thing. I'm seeing them as the same. You might get it in therapy where sometimes the client could look at their therapist as though they are someone else in their life. They're finding it hard to separate the two on an emotion, on a feelings level. So they might respond to their therapist as though they're the other person, even though they don't have anything to do with each other. Where that's relevant here is, being more withdrawn comes with its own baggage. Maybe you're someone who found it difficult to participate in groups because people hogged the ball, people talked over you, people assumed that you didn't have anything to offer. So your assumption in your relationship now is that if I speak up, they're just going to speak over me. They're thinking I'm stupid. They're just going to make it about them. Maybe that's not what's going through their mind at all. Maybe you're transferring feelings from past relationships onto this new person, making assumptions about their motives. Something that can help, aside from just being conscious of what's going through your mind, is making a point in general conversation to insert glimpses of yourself. And what I mean is, for myself, in the past, I've been very good at being like, yes, okay, it's all about you. Don't really say anything much. I'll just say words to set them up to talk more. And people seem really content to do that because, we love talking about ourselves. But what I've started to do in more recent life is I make a point to say something about my opinion or my experience of whatever the subject matter is. It could be about basketball. I know nothing about basketball, but I'll share my opinion on maybe the lighting in the stadium, what I think of the, what do you call it, jersey or whatever. I'm inserting myself somehow because otherwise I don't really exist in the conversation. Therefore, I can't complain if someone's going to fill in the blanks and project onto me wherever that space that I've left is. It's for them to fill it. No, I want to exist. So it's more of a ritual and practice of you being part of the give and take. And that leaves less room for you to be projected onto, but also it gets you into the habit of mattering in the conversation. Something that I think is quite relevant, a saying that I really like, is never attribute to malice what can be attributed to ignorance. Now, that's not to say that the more dominant person or the extrovert is ignorant. That's to say that perhaps your assumptions about the other person's motives are not accurate. In the same way that I would advise the stronger character to take the time and actively listen to a less dominant character, it's up to the less dominant person to really examine, well, what do they actually intend? And maybe I'm rambling, but I believe I mentioned in a previous video that some types of introverts, again, this is more about stronger and weaker characters than necessarily being about introverts specifically, but some introverts can feel very sensitive about someone invading their space, about someone coming to interfere with them. So many of us have fears about, we're hyper vigilant that someone's going to interfere with us in a way that's maybe not in our best interest, or it's going to take our autonomy away. But maybe we're making assumptions here. So again, examine your thinking about the other person and give yourself room, or take up the duty to exist within each conversation. Own your space a little bit more. That's been really helpful for me, and I hope that it's helpful for you.